This is one minute left. We are 4 days, 6 hours into 327, and I've started with Mjolner Archmage using Ball, Lightning, and Orbiting. I've done this start a few times. Progression's gone really good. League start's been good. I'm almost to 17k mana and 16k energy shield. And I'm going to show you where I'm at right now. I'll start off with a demo. Let's do an Uber Shaper. I should pretty well bully him. And after that, I'm going to go through the progression I've gone through. I did a guide video for this where I went over all the crafts, so I'm not going to go over crafts in this video. You can check that video out. However, in that video, I could not have possibly known what the prices would be like this league. So now that I've played through it, and I know, at least as of this time, what the prices are like this league, after this Shaper, I'm going to show you, I'm going to go through what the rough progression is of items based off of this league's prices. It's like what you should buy next, what's the next upgrade. Obviously, this is subject to change. If everyone like pivots and does the same thing and the prices get weird, you know, it depends. But just based off of what I've played through for 4.5 days so far, I'll try to give you some insight of what your progression should be through the items. Because aside from like Flesh Flame and Mage Blood and like, you know, Mist Helicals and like the really weird items, I've just recently swapped Squire, so I'm kind of through, you know, the main upgrades with the setup. So I'll go through kind of in order what the progression should be through the items. Not go over crafts though. That'll be in the other video. It's already there. And then the most recent one being the Squire swap. I'll go over all that. But, yeah, I think I'll link this POB in the video. I think I'm like 45 mil DPS, maybe 50, we'll see. But it's, well, it's got about 2 seconds of ramp because the Ball, Lightning, Orbiting is going out. But you'll see on the Shaper, this should go, I should be bullying him pretty well. We'll see. I don't have everything quite optimized with these sockets, but I should blow him up pretty good. Let's see. We have a Shaper. He's going to slam. Alright, that was terrible. That was like, okay, he took my, okay, that was the worst possible. Okay, well, you know what? This happens. This happens. This is a Connor demo video. So I think I lost my cloak immediately. And that caused me to, not, yeah, okay. Well, let's try this again. Alright, see, there it shot up at the end. Okay, that was weird. I don't know what happened there. I don't know what happened there. For context, I literally swapped to Squire 5 minutes ago. And that is the first monster I've attacked since. So I think everything's set up correctly, but I'll double check. I'll make sure we're all good here. But terrible P1. I've done about 12 or 13 Uber Shapers today. That's actually why I just swapped Squire. I was doing one for the demo video, and then I got a 16 div drop. And decided, well, let's swap Squire then and just delay the video. So now I'll have the Squire swap included in here. But yeah, I got to make sure everything's set up right here. But the damage is good. We'll see here. I've done a lot of like Uber bossing on Mjolnir at like about this budget. Well, significantly lower normally, but once he's actually like out and attackable, it should only be like you know, a couple seconds. Alright, let's see what the damage is like now. That's more like it. I don't know what happened on the other one. That was the P1 was weird, but that's about what you should expect. Like a I don't know, 2.5, 3 second phase. That's for, what, 250 effective health on Uber Shapers, so 125 mil. 50 mil would take 2.5 seconds. I think at full ramp I'm over 50, but Ball Lightning Orbiting has 2 seconds of ramp because, well, it's a 2-second duration to do all the damage. So you won't be doing full DPS until after you've started attacking for the monster for 2 seconds. So that's about right. If that was 3 seconds, that's about 50 mil. I'll check the POB after this. I haven't POB'd it with Squire, but Squire is usually about a 50 to 70% damage gain. We'll see here. Is he gonna actually let me attack him? No, he's not. What a coward. You coward shaper. Where'd he go? Alright, now we'll blow him up. Okay. Alright, loot wasn't nearly as cool on this one. I got a 16 Divine Belt. That was a 3-3 on the last one. Then I decided to Squire Swap. But we're not at the stage where I'm having to do a lot of boss mechanics. I'm kind of just face tanking, and I'm kind of killing them in a couple seconds. That's expected, though. I think my total budget right now is probably pushing up to like 80 or 90. At the start of the day, I was like 55 or 60, and I just got... Well, no, I'm probably getting close to 100. I'm probably 90 to 100 here. But yeah, I'm going to go through, now that I've played through the league start, kind of what the progression is. So to start off, Mjolner. As I said in the video, the only two items you need to play the build is Mjolner and Shaper's Touch. Especially now in the league where Shaper's Touch are like worthless, and it's in super easy start to just get those two. Mjolnir does have a Foulborn version. It replaces Chain, which doesn't do anything for us, with AoE. So this is just a strict upgrade. You don't need it, but it's just 20% increased area of effect. So you can either use a regular Mjolnir, that's fine, or you can go for the Foulborn and get 20 to 30 AoE instead of Chain. So that's the new like best in slot. That's your starter. You go like kind of a life-based, like kind of tribrid setup where I just have like, 4k life, a life flask, 6k energy shield with a mind spiral, and then a couple rare pieces with strength and int on them to get the Mjolnir equip. After that, I kind of push toward the low life swap. So the next natural buys are Prism Guardian and Ivory Tower. Then you go Pain Attunement, low life, get 3 auras on. I do, Flesh Stone, 2 50% auras. So I'm like Zealotry, Wrath, Flesh Stone in the Prism Guardian. I'll link all these POBs in the description. I'll link my day 1, 2, 3, and 4 POBs so you can see the progression and how I geared. After you get the low life swap, the next things I'm doing is cogworks. So I'm still not ending on at this point, but I went over how to do cogworks in the previous video. You're going to essence them. You're going to do some meta crafting to try to get chaos res. So you get an open suffix, lock suffix, reforge chaos. So you'll see I just picked up like 70 chaos res here. It's really hard to get chaos res before this point though. So this was kind of the first point in the build where I go from having like negative 60 to suddenly I'm like positive 20. It's just getting 2 cogworks. After cogworks, then I did indigon. These are hanging out at about 4 or 5 divines. They're kind of all over the place though. Some people picking them up for clustering and whatnot. So the prices have gone a little bit between like 4 and 8 the last 2 days. But eventually they'll start to settle down and taper out. You go indigon swap kind of after the cogwork rings typically. At this point in time, you've got a lot of talent points initially that are like some percent damage, because since you don't have indigon, you don't really have percent damage. So at that point, I'm taking like Divine Judgment. I'm taking like all these nodes in here because they're really good. And once I go indigon, percent damage becomes meaningless because I have so much from indigon. At that point in time, I spec out all these, and then I have all these points floating around that I need to do something with. That's when I get large cluster jewels. So I grab the 2 passive large, and I grab the prismatic heart large. Then I can put all those extra points in those areas. I'm not necessarily split personality by this point in time, but eventually I'm going to go split personality. This league, I got my split path set up, and I bought a couple int, evasion, split personalities. These are like 20 chaos. The int is really good because this split path is so long, it gives 78. So you get 78 int, which is already better than any 4-stat rare jewel you can get. And the second mod at this point, compared to like a 3-stat rare jewel, doesn't really matter. But because it's 20 chaos, I picked up the evasion, because it ends up being about, 600 evasion between the two? Is that right? It's times, no, yeah, between each. It's 600 and something evasion each. It's 78, yeah, it's 624 evasion each. So that, between like Grace and all my int from Shaper's Touch, gives me like 10k, like 6k evasion or something. Which is really nice for defense early on. And then eventually I'll upgrade them out as I start to get like more int and more scaling. I'll drop the evasion for the int mana. And this picks up, more mana and then therefore more energy shield from, Hierophant. These are like 3 divines right now, but I think they're tapering down to about 2 divines, so these are getting cheaper. But you can definitely go to int evasion splits and then switch them to int mana later. Way end game, you can go to strength imp, but not yet. After this point in time, the next thing I'm going to do is boots. These are really important. I talked about these in the video. You can watch that for the craft, but 9% CDR represents like a 16% damage gain because it gets you a breakpoint for Mjolnir. The thing is, though, it doesn't automatically give you the attack speed. So the next thing you do after boots, if you check out the piece in the video if you want to craft them to get 9 CDR, the next thing I do is I go for the Lethal Pride setup, because pathing down here for the Lethal Pride is 14% attack speed, which is kind of like almost exactly what you need for the, what do you call it, for the new breakpoint on Mjolnir. I do have an attack speed roll here, but you could go 5 action speed on boots, no attack speed anywhere, and then instead take the enchant from Harvest for a little more attack speed on your Mjolnir, and that'll get you like 4.25. That'll be about right. So either 1 jewel with 5 or 6, or no jewel at all, and then get the Harvest enchant on Mjolnir, and then 5%, and that should fix you. But the way this is good is when you pair with Unnatural Instinct. This is kind of the next upgrade you buy. These are like 5 divines right now, but it's really OP because the way it overlaps with Lethal Pride is it makes all these nodes it's granting you give 4 strength. So that makes this setup right here. Look, I'm at 695, 581. So just this jewel is giving me 114 strength. Makes this jewel give me 180 something strength. So really powerful combo here. That's kind of like a 1, 2, 3 in quick succession, where you get the boots, you get the breakpoint, you get the attack speed here, you get the unnatural instinct, you get all the strength. The next thing you're doing, I did belt. I went over how to do this belt in the video too. I ended up getting a T2 slam and I settled, so that's my belt. I'm probably not gonna get a better one until I get a mage blood, and this belt is really good. When I put this on over a what's the elder belt? Cyclopean coil. I gained like 1,000 ES and mana, so that was huge. After that, the last thing you could do is you could either just get like a 1-stat greatwolf or Healthy Mind. Healthy Mind are really expensive right now. This was like 5 or 6 divines, but you already have this split path, which you'll normally just cut here and ignore the life. But with the price of Healthy Mind, I did this really late compared to normal. But I finally forked over 6 div, I got a perfect one, and then I cut this out, and then I put the path over here, because 12 is better than 8. And then I did the Healthy Mind path. Around this time, the next natural upgrade you're going to want to get is probably going to be a Clarity Watcher's Eye. These give you, look how much energy shield. Look at that energy shield, 13k, 16k, look at that. When you have this much mana and this much scaling, this one mod is giving you 3k energy shield. So they're, for a decent roll, they're anywhere from like 6 to 10 div. But just for the big ES upgrade, this is about the time to get those. Finally, you'll be about where I started the day today. I bought Greatwolf today. I bought this Watcher's Eye today. Finally, the last thing is going to probably be a Squire swap. When you have Prism Guardian, it's giving you 37 all-res. So it's really, really hard to fix that when you take 37 all-res away. So the way I kind of like to do this is I basically have 2 damage auras on my Prism Guardian, and then I have 37 all-res. I swap to Squire. I drop both damage auras. You might think that's bad, right? But Zealotry's giving me 16% more damage, and Wrath's giving me 20% more damage. The thing is, 3 support gems blows this out of the water. It's not even close. So giving up 2 damage auras and gaining 3 whole support gems is still like 70% more damage or something absurd. So don't feel bad dropping the damage auras. It's necessary. Instead, what I do is I go for Purity of Elements, because it just fixes everything, right? Wherever it is. Purity of Elements is going to, with some arrogance, end up giving me like 48 all-res, so I'll actually be ahead of where I was res-wise, and I get ailment immunity. Really nice. The way you fit this, it's a 50% aura, okay? And I need to reserve Clarity for the Watcher's Eye. Clarity reserves about 2 or 3%. So I need to reserve 52 or 3, and Arrogance doubles it. The way you fit this is you buy a bricked level 2 Enlighten, okay? People level Enlighten to 3, and then they corrupt these in order to try to get, you know, level 4 for money. The thing is, nobody likes level 2 Enlighten. It's seen as like a brick, right? You just buy someone else's brick level 2 Enlighten, and it's perfect. It reserves like the maximum amount of life for Ivory Tower, and you go level 1 Clarity, Purity of Elements, Arrogance, bricked level 2 Enlighten in a 4 link. Done. It fixes your res, ailment immunity. It's all reserved. And then you lost 2 damage auras, but you gain 3 support gems, okay? The other tech you can do here is there is a Foulborn Squire. These are more expensive. I wouldn't pay a ton for this, but I ended up paying 11 div for this. If these were 30 div, I wouldn't have bought this. I wouldn't pay any more than like 15 right now. But the +1 gem is really nice because it saves me going for the rune graft of gems. But it gets you to 22 Archmage if you buy 2120. And 2120s are cheap this league because the tree spits out 2020 gems. The 22 is a breakpoint for 17% instead of 16%, which is like 6% more damage. So you can put Archmage in the shield. It's also a breakpoint for Arcane Surge. That's also nice. Normally you can do this without the Squire +1 and get the Gemcraft of the Rune Graft of Gemcraft for +1 support. But it kind of saves you that instead. So I don't feel like I need to invest in that 1 talent point to get that big rounding point for Archmage. I can instead just put in the Squire. So it's like +1 talent point basically. But that's how I fix res. That's how I fix auras. That's how I fix reservation. It still ends up being like a 50 to 70% damage gain, even though you drop 2 damage auras, because 3 supports is so much more powerful. I'll link this POB in the description as well. This will be like my day 4 or 5 POB. That should give you an idea of roughly what the progression is, what items to buy. This could change in several days if things get really wacky with prices, but that was my experience based off like the league start. That's my day 4 1/4 update. I'm feeling powerful. I'll catch you guys next time. See you.